What is going on? Welcome to another Level Up training. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about my story, why I got into this, what I've kind of struggled with, and how I maneuvered out of it to get the results that you see here. Okay? Because I'll be real with you, this isn't even the worst picture I have. Okay? A lot of people look at this and don't even think it's that bad. But obviously, from this to this, you could see a pretty drastic change in body fat and muscle definition. But I was bigger than this. I just hated taking pictures more than I do now. I'm not a big picture guy, anyways. Now, my fiance got me into it a little bit more. But in terms of the actual process and what it was like before I got into the best shape I ever got into, it was worse than this. I just hated how I looked, so I never took pictures. Okay, but today we're going to talk about my story. So a little bit of a background of me. Make myself smaller here. I grew up playing sports. As you can see, I'm running here. Nice little photo shoot, but a very ugly face there. It is what it is. You're never going to look good when you're actually doing the exercise, okay? If you look good while you're training, you're not training right. But a little bit of background, okay? So I grew up playing sports. I did taekwondo, hockey, baseball, and a bunch of other ones, but baseball was the one I stuck with. Okay, so I've been involved in activity and training and working out my whole life. The problem that I used to go through was I had a very poor relationship with food when I was younger. Okay, so I was at a point where I was very chunky in my eyes, and obviously I was. When I looked down, I could see my tummy, could barely see my feet when I was a kid. And what happened was at that point, I used to just eat whatever I wanted. Not that it was terrible when you're a kid, but again, when you're overweight, no matter what age you are, it's not the best thing in the world, right? But what happened was when I went to India, I lost a lot of weight by getting food poisoning. I got really, really sick, and I got so sick that I went from being like bigger and chunkier to looking in the mirror and having abs in a week because of the food poisoning, throwing up, the amount of like I couldn't eat food. So it was really bad. But again, you go from not loving what you see in the mirror to now seeing abs. You're like, oh wow, this is actually nice. So I took it as a new start in a sense. I mean, I was only in grade like 6 at that point, I think. So I was like barely a teenager. I wasn't like a very young teen, maybe not like maybe 12 or 13, maybe something around that, I think at that point. But again, it doesn't matter what age you are. If you don't love yourself, you don't love yourself, right? And it's important to understand what you're capable of. So I started that as a new journey, but I still had a poor relationship with food because I used to think in order to keep and maintain the abs I wanted and the body fat that I wanted, I needed to make sure that I didn't eat carbs. So I would eat a lot of protein, salads, things like that, which is terrible for a kid to go through. You need carbs, you need like important fats, you need all these things to develop your brain, to develop growing up and things like that. So for a few years, I really thought that, oh, I just need to eat salads and things like that. Okay. Now, that was over the course of a few years that I started playing very high level baseball, and I started to realize I needed to eat a little bit more. Okay, I needed to eat carbs. It was okay, but I was training so much. I was working out so much at that age, like 4 or 6 hours a day, that eating a lot of food didn't matter anymore. I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm always going to look good because I'm working out so much. I'm burning so many calories and I'm building a lot of muscle and I'm always active, right? So we fast forward to it leading me to go away for school, right? Baseball took me to Vancouver. I'm in Toronto, took me to Vancouver to go play baseball for a year. I went away to go to school there. But as I was there, something happened there. I'm not going to go too deep into it. But I realized my dreams were never going to come true, okay? I realized that I was not going to be able to go pro. I wasn't going to be able to play baseball at the level that I wanted to. And I did go through depression. I got very lucky. I had very good support, right? I had like very good support from parents, my friends, family, and things like that. I was very lucky in that sense. But again, when you go through depression, it doesn't matter how much support you have to get out of it yourself at some point too, right? But it got so bad that I let myself go and I didn't even recognize myself in the mirror one day. I was like, what the hell is going on? And that was the turning point I needed, right? Because when I went through depression, that's when, again, I developed that poor relationship with food. I would use food to de-stress. I would use food to feel happy. I would go out and think I deserved this when really I didn't, right? I would just do it because I was always in a bad mood. I was always felt down. I was in the blues. I felt sad all the time, right? I was lonely too at that point because I was away from everybody. As much as it was nice talking to people or texting them, like it's very different when you don't have that human connection one on one. Of course, I made friends when I was there too. That I'm glad to say I still see them here now till this day. But it was different. I didn't have that connection in the beginning because I was just letting myself go deeper and deeper into this very sad state, this depressive state, which kept me at a place where, again, I looked in the mirror and I was like, this is actually gross. I don't like this. Took me that day to recognize it, to be like, I don't like what I see. I hate how I look in clothes. I need to change. Because that's when I decided enough was enough. And I started to use fitness as an outlet, which turned into a passion, right? And I mean, I always had the passion to exercise, to work out, but it goes away when you're not feeling like yourself. And that it reignited it. So it almost felt like I used it. I had this second stance of passion again. So this is why I got into what I got into, because I didn't want anybody else to go through what I went through, which is not loving yourself, not liking how you look, and not liking how you feel. That is probably the worst thing you can go through when it comes to self-development, right? It's tearing you down instead of bringing you forward. So that's a little bit about me and why I got into what I did, or what I'm doing now. And this is just a little bit about the career. Right now, I started training high-level athletes, probably even in high school, because I went to a sports-specific high school. That's where I started training some people, because people saw how much I was working out, how much I loved it, and they were like, "Wow, like, can you help me too?" So it was really cool. But I started training high-level athletes from there. But I would say actually helping them get to that next level, obviously throughout university after I came back from Vancouver. So I started training rep, semi-pro, and even national level athletes. So Team Canada athletes, a few of those. You've probably actually seen some of them on my story. Isla, she's in a lot of my videos. She's hilarious. So you've seen her brother as well, Jamal, which is also he's basically my brother. So those are also Team Canada athletes that I used to train, as well as some of their peers, as well as just rep, semi-pro from all ages. I started my own fitness business though in 2020. Obviously, we know sports was coming to an end. It went to a halt. The whole world went to a halt. And I started to see my mom train, a lot of the women in my family train. And I was like, what are you guys doing here? Right? My whole background is helping athletes. So my whole thing was science. It was based on logic and facts, right? But when there's so much info out there, just like how I was when I was a kid, there's so much information. You don't even know what's right and wrong. You don't know what to kind of go through to find what's right for you. So because of that, I started helping her and my mom. And when she started seeing number on the scale she hadn't seen in 2 years, started feeling better, feeling happier, just being like, oh, my body actually works. I was like, okay, I want to change what I'm doing. I want to actually help more women. I started helping more women in my family. I was like, it was a nicer feeling for me, right? It was just really nice to see, okay, I can help you feel good, doing it in a sustainable and healthy way, doing it in a way that you actually feel energized and not like you have to starve yourself. So this is a big reason why what I do now, and a big reason why I've been able to help over 600 women through my coaching. And I'm the happiest I've ever been doing this, right? Actually, this number is even more. It's probably over 700 now, but it's been a lot and it's been amazing over the course of a few years. So it's been awesome. And this is just a little bit about me. I'm not going to go into all the technical stuff, but just kind of a little bit about why I got into what I got into. So my biggest struggles, this is cool. Forgot that this was a video. Thought this was a picture, but probably end soon the video. My biggest struggles was my relationship with food growing up, as I told you guys, right? Thinking carbs are the enemy, only eating salads and this and that. You needed to eat more, right? Thinking my body just didn't want to change. Now, the next slide, I'm going to go over how I came over some of the stuff. But the other one was thinking my body just didn't want to change. A lot of us get stuck in this mentality of, oh, I'm getting older and my body sucks and, it's just not the same and this and that. Because part of it is you blame your genetics, right? I mean, that was my big issue. I used to blame my genetics all the time. I'm Indian. I was like, oh my God, like my arms can't get big. I have skinny legs, this and that. Don't get me wrong. My calves are still skinny, but they're bigger than they used to be. And, I used to think I have a body fat will never be down, but it was able to come down, right? So it's not genetics, but these were some of the mindset things, the mindset struggles I had. I always wanted to try new things, right? I wouldn't stick to routine for a long period of time in the beginning. I would be like, okay, every week I want to change it up. Every day I want to try something new. That doesn't work. You need to get strong over just trying to do new things. Movement is great, but if you're working out for a purpose to get results, it's very different. I used to overtrain, right? I mean, there was a point where 7 days a week I'd be doing something, right? Whether it's the gym or running or rollerblading, biking, like I'd always have this obsession with I need to move to burn the fat. Okay, not necessarily true. You need to move, you need to build muscle, but muscle is more important. And the other issue is I never appreciated how far I've come to keep going forward, right? Those days where you just feel like, nothing's changing. I can't do this anymore. My body sucks. Well, from where you were in day one to where you are now has completely changed. You have transformed. Whether, it's 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 5 pounds, it doesn't matter. You have changed and you've gotten there. The only difference is how consistent can you be and keep going forward, right? So this is what I did to overcome those challenges, okay? The first thing was filling my mind with gratitude over this victim mindset, okay? I really just started to look at more positive things. I started to tell myself, why not? Let me just keep trying. Let me just keep going. Because if you continue to fill yourself with this negative mindset, or this blaming yourself, or this nothing, I'm never going to be good enough, or my body will never change, or blah, 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 blah. All these things we've probably all have said to yourselves as you watch this. If you continue to put that into your head, it's going to be much easier for you to give up as opposed to moving forward. Okay? Because something that happens when you start looking at gratitude is that your mind starts shifting towards, I'm going to make it work. I will make this work. I will get to the results that I want. And as cheesy as it sounds, and I was never a guy like that, but like, it's very true, man. It's very true that if you fill your mind with gratitude every day, you sit down at the end of the day, you just look at a few things you could be positive for. Forget everything else. Just look at what you can be positive for, because our mindset is wired to think about all the negative things that happen, all the crappy things that have happened to us, and continue to use that as just like the highlight of our life, right? As opposed to looking at the highlight of our life through a lens of gratitude and happiness and appreciation. So that was the first thing I changed. Or well, one of the first things I changed. The other one was looking at science over moving through emotions. Right when I was younger, going through that, phase of being overweight, food poisoning, and then thinking, oh my God, I just have to eat such little food. No, that was just emotional thinking. I didn't use logic. After I started doing the courses, I started, actually helping people. I started to, start to understand more. I started to do more research. Like, science helped me more than the emotion ever did, right? Because I realized, well, it's very simple things. To lose fat, you just need to eat less food. You need to eat enough. If you want to lose weight, you eat less food. If you want to lose weight and build muscle, you need to eat protein. If you want to lose weight, build muscle, and feel good, you need carbs and fats. So you just have to understand how to portion those. But that's science. If I want to look good forever, if I want to maintain what the body I've built, I need to make sure I build muscle that lasts forever. So instead of focusing on cardio 24/7, I built muscle throughout it. I made sure that the muscle was going to be the thing that made my body composition last, my body fat coming down last, because muscle burns more calories than fat. So if I have a little bit more muscle in my body, I'll be able to burn more calories in the day. I'll be able to maintain this body that I love. So again, that was science, not emotion, right? So the other part that is probably surprising to a lot of people is I did increase my carbs. That was one of the biggest things that I did. My energy went up. My mood felt better, right? I just was happier with the process. I wasn't hating it. I wasn't not looking forward to meals. I was always happy and always excited to eat now, because I'm like, oh my God, I get to eat some of the foods I love. I can eat one naan instead of two, but I can have it. I can make sure that I fuel my soul as well as my body to make sure that I overcome the challenge with that poor relationship with food that I used to have, and understand that it's actually fuel and it's not negative, right? So understanding the science of the portions helped me a lot with understanding that I can have carbs and actually maintain the fat loss. I decreased cardio, right? From doing so much cardio all the time to focusing on progressive overload. So my workout shifted. Instead of just doing so much cardio and running and these crazy HIIT style training sessions all the time, I just reversed it. I said, okay, you know what? Instead of 45 minutes of cardio, I'll do 45 minutes of lifts, and then I'll do 10 to 15 minutes of cardio. Changed everything. That is when my body changed for the best. That is when I started to feel happy. This guy was here all the time. This is even when I was putting on a little bit more body fat, because I was trying to bulk a little bit before I went back into a cut. I want to build more muscle again. But again, I was happy because I knew the process of what it takes, right? Just like the process of losing the fat, I need to know what the process of changing my body in other ways, right? So progressive overload changed my life. It's focusing on strength, and it doesn't make you bulky, okay? I might look a little bit big here, but that's because I was actually just trying to get big. The only way to get bulky is by eating a lot of food. That's why you get bigger. If you can eat less, you won't get bulky. And a lot of people tell me, Roger, I don't want to be bulky if I lift weight. I always say, guys, if you are at a weight you absolutely hate, you look in the mirror and you feel big already, you are bulky. It's not, and you're not even lifting right now. It's because you're just eating too much. Eating too much makes you bulky, not lifting weight, okay? And the other thing is progress photos. Scale kills a lot of people's fitness journeys. Everybody gets very demotivated. They want to stop when they don't see the weight come down 1 week. Listen, your weight is meant to fluctuate up and down, right? Even in the day. Okay, you're going to start off the day being very lightweight at your lowest because you haven't eaten in like 8 to 10 hours, maybe even 12. And then when you go at the end of the day, when you've had enough food, you've eaten maybe 3 meals. Of course, you're going to put on, a pound or two, but it's not a pound or two of fat. It's literally just the food in your system. There's energy in your system that is in there. That is normal, right? And the scale doesn't really tell you the progress you're making to the full extent. It's the pictures, it's the photos, it's when you look in the mirror and you're realizing, wow, this is changing. And then you look at day 1 to week 6, day 1 to week 10, day 1 to week 52, you're like, holy crap, that's amazing. And this is what fills your minds with gratitude, because you're able to see the difference. You appreciate how far you've come, right? So progress photos was huge. That is probably the number one thing, then you'll see your clothes fit better and things like that. You'll feel that. I even till this day, I don't know how much I weigh anymore. I have no idea. I have a rough estimate, but like I still don't know, and I don't care. As long as I look in the mirror and I'm happy with the progress I'm making and I'm happy with how I look, I know I'm good. If I see that I'm maybe putting on a little bit of body fat, cool. I know I'm eating a little bit too much. I'll just decrease the calories a little bit. If I feel like, hey, you know what? I kind of feel like I'm a little bit thinner than I'd like to be for me. I want to make sure I have enough muscle. Hey, you know what? Maybe I'm just eating enough. I'm getting stressed again. I'm maybe not eating enough food or maybe not eating enough protein. Let me just redial back in again, right? So all those things can happen once you let go of the scale and you look at who you are and what you want to become. And if I had to choose one thing that I wish I could have changed earlier, it would have been my mindset. Okay, getting away from the victim mentality to a why not mindset, right? Like I said before, it's every time people, and including myself, when I went through that depressive state, I put on a lot of weight, and I put on, for me, it was a lot of weight at the time, right? It was like 30, 35 pounds, and I'm a short king. I'm like 5'8", so that you can notice that 30, 35 pounds pretty well compared to somebody who's like over 6 feet. But again, it was that depressive state. I was always looking at the negative stuff. I was always looking at why my life isn't working out, why this isn't happening for me, this. Instead of blaming everything else around me, I just started blaming myself. Now, I know that sounds really weird, but I started to just take accountability is what I mean, right? I started taking accountability for my actions. You know what? It probably didn't work out because maybe it was I didn't do my due diligence of this research. Maybe it was I didn't track what I was doing on the weekend. Maybe it was, for exams, you know what? It's not the teacher who didn't teach well. It was because I actually just didn't prepare for the test. I didn't study as much as I should have. I went out that night instead of taking an extra night to just relax, unwind, relax my mind and doing maybe an hour or two extra studying. But I went out until like 2 a.m., right? So it was things like that, right? That you have to account for. Everything that you are right now is your fault. And that's good. It's good because you have control. It's nobody else's fault. No matter how much we want to blame things or how much we want to put accountability onto somebody else for why we are this way, you have decided everything in your life. You have decided to put somebody into your life. You have decided to keep somebody in your life. You have decided to take this job. You have decided to have that boss. You have decided to not take this opportunity. You decided to make a left instead of a right. You decided to put this into the GPS. You decided to put the restaurant into the GPS instead of the gym. It is all on you. And that's great, dude. It's great because you are the person that can change it all, right? And it doesn't have to be all at once, right? It could just be, why not change one thing at a time? Why not this week, instead of watching Netflix for an hour, I walk for 20 minutes and then I'll sit down and watch 40 minutes of Netflix? Why not this week I meal prep instead of going out every single day of the week? Why not this week I have a water bottle ready instead of having the Coke or Sprite every single day? Why not this week I go to the gym for an hour instead of just sitting around and sulking about myself for an hour, right? Like, why not make the change? So when I changed my mindset from victim mentality to a why not mentality, everything got better. I started to appreciate things. I started having much more gratitude, and I really got out of that depressive state to get me to where I am today, right? 5 years later, well, I went through depression at a weird point in my life, but throughout all that time, it's like, great. Like, I think that was in 2017 was when it happened. And it's 2025 now, so like 8 years later, it's been a much better path to where I want to be and to where I am now than where I could have been if I just continued to blame everything around me, as opposed to just taking out accountability and moving forward with my life. Move forward with your life and let go of the things that have already happened. It's not going to take you anywhere. When you can let go of things that have happened and you trained your mind to do that, you're going to let go of the one bad day that you ate, the one bad weekend that you didn't track these. You can let go of the fact that you might have missed a workout one day and you just do it the next day, right? You can let go of all the things you didn't do and move forward into focusing on things that you can do. That is what will change your fitness journey and make sure you can kill it, just like I have felt like I've been able to for a while. You can become unstoppable that way, okay? And that's it, man. That's the results you get. It's as simple as that. I'm a very simple guy, guys. Okay, I make things as simple as I can. I can talk about this for hours, but again, you're probably not going to watch this for hours. Okay, even if you're sitting with me watching this for like 19, 20 minutes, I appreciate you. And this is what happens, the results, right? You will feel and look amazing. I might not be smiling here. I think I was just feeling myself a little bit of a bad boy, or if you will. I can't swear here or else I get demonetized. I want to make my page monetized one day, obviously. But yeah, other than that, guys, that's it, okay? The results will show for itself. You get 1% better every day and good things happen, okay? So like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Comment on a topic you'd like me to speak on next, and I got you. But other than that, appreciate you for listening, and I'll see you next week, all right? Cheers.